move to the breadth first search. So that's the first way we are going to be checking if there's a connection between two states that will be given. So let's get our hands ready. Let's move to repo.it and we'll start working. So just below here, we'll create a function. So let's create an arrow function, spell that correctly, const breadth first search. Yeah, something like this. And do this. We're using an arrow function. So this is how it should look. It will take two parameters. The first one will be the departure states, and the second one will be the destination states. All right, cool. So what we want to do here is we'll take the destination states and take the departure states, or departure first, then the destination states, and then we will move from the departure state, and then everywhere we see the destination state, we log to the console and say we found this. All right. Now, breadth first search uses a queue, and the way a queue works is there are two ends. You put in items from one end and remove it from the other end. Now, what we would use our queue to do is to keep track of items that have not been visited and those that have been visited. So basically, those that are yet to be visited will be in the queue, and those that has been visited will be in another variable called visited. Let's just create that. So const queue, it will be an array. Now, like we said, it will keep track of the states that we have not visited, and the first state that we will visit will be the departure state here. Then we'll now have the visited array. Now, technically it's an array, but we will be using a set. So the visitor will be a new set here. Now, a new set is an array that takes only unique values. So you can have two values that are the same in a set. That's just it. All right, so we want to start looking through these items. For us to do that, we'll first of all do a while loop. Now, we need to be sure that we're able to terminate this program at some point. Now, the while loop will stop at any point that our queue becomes empty. Remember that our queue holds on to states that are yet to be visited or navigated. So a while loop will start a while. Yeah, I'll give it a condition here, then the body here, something like that. All right, cool. And we say that while the queue is greater than 0. So basically, while there's still something in the queue, let this while loop keep running. Yeah. All right. So the first thing to do here is to get the destinations connected to this departure state. like we already pointed out, a breadth first search this breadth first search will start from the departure state, and then it will go down. Why do we call it a breadth first search? It first of all checks all the items connected to a particular node, or all the edges connected to a particular node. After checking through all of them, then it goes down to the next level of item and then check all items connected to the first child of this node that was just checked. So let's get the destinations of this departure state first. To get the destination, we just do const destinations, and then connections. Yep, connections dot get. What we want to get is the item in this is this first item, the queue. The first item in the queue. That's what we want to get. So since we want to get the first item in the queue, we just do queue and the first item is represented by 0. All right. Now, since we have gotten this first item, we'll now remove this departure state from the queue in order for us not to run into an infinite loop. So we'll remove it from the front, not from the back. Recall that a queue has two ends, the top and the bottom. So usually you put in items from the bottom and remove it from the top. So we want to remove it from the top. So we'll do a queue dot shift. Now this is different from queue dot pop. Dot pop will remove it from the bottom where it was added from, and that would not follow the rule of a queue. For us to follow the rules of a queue, we need to remove it from the front. So we'll do queue dot shift. Now that we have access to the destinations of this departure state, which is the first node that we want to visit in the graph that we've created, we'll now loop through these destinations and see if there is any of the destination in these destinations that is the same thing as the destination state. Then we'll tell our program that, hey, we found this using breadth first search. So let's loop there. Sorry, let's use the if condition here. Sorry, before we use the if condition, we have to loop. We have to loop through the destination. So for const, we're using a for off loop, destination of destinations. We want to loop through these destinations that we have fetched from this first item, that's the departure state. So while looping, we check for each item if the destination is equivalent to the destination state, then we log to the console.log. We'll say BFS, that is breadth first search found. Let's use an arrow and then concatenate here destination state. All right. Now we'll also check if we already have this item in the visited array or not. Now if we already have the item in the visited array, then there will be no need for this step. But if we don't have the item in the visited array, then we'll add it this time around. So we'll start with an exclamation mark, which inverts whatever we're going to write here. Basically saying whatever we're doing here, we turn it around, it should be false. So if visited dot has, remember that this is not just an array, it is a set. So we don't use dot includes here, we use dot has. So if visited dot has the destination we are currently on. Now, if this is not true, that means if visited does not have the destination, then add it to the visited. So we have visited dot add the destination. And then since it has not been visited, it is yet to be visited, we will also add it in the queue. So we have queue.push. Notice that we are using .add for the visited because it's a set, and we're using .push for the queue because it is an array destination here. Yeah, thank you. All right. Now with this, the program is complete. Now let me walk you through what's going on here. Of course, we created a function and named it breadth first search. What we did here is we took in the departure state and the destination state that is desired. So imagine you are working in a transport company and you want to check if there is a connection between two states. So you put one as the departure state and the other as the destination state. Then we keep track of items or the states that we still want to visit in the queue array. And then we created a visited set whereby it holds all the states that we've been able to visit or we've come across during our search. And then we started to loop through the queue array, checking if the queue is having an item inside or not. Basically, if the queue still has an item inside, and by the way, this should be queue.length. I missed this initially, queue.length. So if the queue.length is greater than 0, if the queue has an item inside, this loop will continue to run. Then in the loop, we are starting with the items connected to the departure state. So basically, we want to check, let's go back to this graph, the graph we made initially. Okay, I need to get that back here. All right, give me a moment. Okay. Let me get right, that is coming up. All right, cool. This is it. Now you recall that Enugu, for example, is connected to Niger and Enugu is connected to Lagos. So at this point, if you give the departure state to be Enugu, then this breadth first search will start from the departure state, which is Enugu, and then check all the destinations that are connected to Enugu. And what are those destinations? look at the arrows connected to Enugu. The first one is Niger and the second one is Lagos. Now, after checking Niger and Lagos, and he couldn't find the destination state, he now comes to maybe Lagos and then check the states that are connected to Lagos. Two states are connected to Lagos. He checks the first one, Enugu. On coming to Enugu, notice that Enugu has been checked before. He skips this one and go to Ogun. Check for Ogun. And he continues this route until he goes through all the states here in the graph. So that's what is happening here in this code. At this point, we've gotten all the states attached to the departure state. And when we've gotten that, we are removing the first item, which is the item we just checked. This first item, the item we just got the destinations, we are removing it from the queue so that it follows the rule of a queue, which is a first in, first out rule. Now, since at this point we have access to this destination, we are now looping through all the destinations. When we are looping through, we are checking, is this destination the destination we are looking for? That's the destination state. If it is true, then we just say we log to the console, breadth first search found the destination state. Then we'll also check if the visited array already has it. If it already has it, that means it has been checked before and we don't have to add it to the visited array again, nor add it to the queue array. If not, we'll run into an infinite loop. That is it. And that is all you need to do a breadth first search on a graph. So for us to check if our program is working, we just do a breadth first search here and then enter two states. So let's say we are entering Enugu and the destination state is Sokoto. Let's check for possible connections. So let's run this and